Good afternoon, Janelle.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Good. Did you have a good weekend?
I did. How about you?
I really enjoyed yesterday. We had a good beach day.
Oh, good.
I needed that.
Yesterday,
Shut this.
There we are.
Oh. So you've had a busy time of it.
Me? Always.
Yeah. Just with Planning Commission alone.
It's okay though. Okay. Joe's coming back, and then I think we just need a minute or two for John.
Excellent.
you know, I have it on maximum volume, and you're very quiet, Janelle.
Okay. Is this better?
Yes.
Okay.
Starting to think I was losing my hearing.
No, sometimes I just need to increase my volume on my side, and sometimes I forget to do that. So for those listening, what we're going to be going over is a list that is actually on the Action Plan Subcommittee website, which is on the city's page under, just a minute, I've got multiple pages up today.
And I love the city website took COVID off the main block of the website. And it now says like autumn. It's like, thank you.
Leaf collection is coming up, so.
Yes. That's much happier than COVID.
Sorry, I'm getting to where it is. So if you go under the city's website, under government, and then under planning activity website, under planning projects, you will find the action plan under subcommittees, and then you will see the draft work plan that says draft 10/16/20. It is there, and you can follow along if you're so inclined. The committee members should have gotten it on Friday. I'm hoping everybody got a chance to get it.
Yep.
Okay, good. Let me know if that link doesn't work. Somebody asked for the link to the site in the chat, so. Okay, I think we're just waiting on John.
Okay. Give it another minute or two and then get going.
Okay.
What do you think? Should we get going?
Sure.
Okay. All right. This is the Lewis Planning Commission Action Plan Subcommittee. We're meeting today, October 19th, 2020 at 3:30 p.m. via Zoom. Janelle Cornwell has created a really great summary of our input so far, and that'll be the subject of today's meeting. And then at the end of the meeting, I think we'll see if we need to meet again based on what ideas we talk about today, with the goal of submitting this to Planning Commission for discussion for the December 16th meeting. So Janelle, do you want to introduce us to how you wrestled to the ground the 10 million pieces of paper you were given by the group and how you structured this chart?
Sure. So what I did is I took and broke it down by category. So you're going to see stormwater management, floodplain, building code, annexation. So everything has a category, and everything that kind of relates to that falls into that. So like transportation includes creation of a TID, Transportation Improvement District, for those who aren't aware of what that is. Byway gateway collaboration, encourage connectivity. So those were all transportation related. So I just put everything that I thought made sense together there. I took the lists from what everybody provided to me. Some of these are from the Quinn report. Some of these are from the comprehensive plan. Some of these are from the meeting that we had with the mitigation team and council and the planning commission earlier this month. So I just took all of those, kind of put them together. If they overlapped, I just kind of left it as one idea because I didn't want to duplicate if we had the same idea multiple times. So I put them all together. It has responsibility of like who would be the lead in making that, just, you know, doing that work. Difficulty, is it easy? Is it somewhere in the middle? Is it medium, or is it difficult? Time frame, I also did, you know, short, medium, and long. Short to me is, and there is something on the, hoping it's still there, maybe not, was like 4 months or less. We can get that done in just a couple of meetings. Those seem like the less contentious. Medium, 6 months, 4 months to a year, and difficult, 6 months, year plus. So some things are going to actually take a really long time. And I also put like, what's the status? Because some of these things are actually already ongoing. For, you know, like the floodplain fill ordinance, currently ongoing. We've got a public hearing scheduled for November. So that one's got an ongoing, so that's why I didn't put a difficulty or a time frame, because it's already kind of ongoing. You know, does it require a consultant? Maybe, no, or yes. And sometimes it's just going to be, there are a lot of maybes because you never know. Depends on how detailed we get into things. So that was my thinking of how to put this together. Because if we have some idea of, you know, the one thing I don't want us to do is kind of like go through and like, okay, what we all want to prioritize are going to be difficult and long projects, because I think that then hurts some of the stuff that might not come to the top of the list, but will be easier and could be also very beneficial. That could be take a little bit less time, a little bit easier to go through. So did I miss anything is my first question on the list.
Let me just make sure I have this right. A short would be 4 months. Medium
Or less, yes.
Right, would be 6 months. Long would be more than 6 months, and difficult would be more than a year, right?
Well, difficult could be, we might need, yeah, difficult and long, medium, long, or we're looking 6 months, potentially controversial, definitely going to take some time. There, you might need a consultant.
Yes. Okay, great.
And sometimes they kind of both fell together, because depending on how it goes, it could be a little bit easier, could take a little bit shorter time frame, but I left like, you know, medium long because, you know, it might not take 6 months, it might take 8 months. but it might take, or it could end up taking more than a year. It depends sometimes on the process it goes through and the public feedback.
Great, thank you. So what's everyone's thought? Did anyone see anything that was missed?
Janelle, did you say you got something out last week, this revised list? Because I didn't get it.
Yeah, I emailed it last week.
Friday.
Yep, Friday, late Friday afternoon, I got it out.
Okay. You sure I was on the mailing list?
I'm gonna double check right now. Yes, you were.
To the city site, the city
I
website?
sent it. So there, if you look in the chat, there's actually a link to the page in the chat. So that
Okay.
will actually get you to there, and then just look for draft report, draft work plan.
Okay, I'll play it by ear for now.
One thing we do want to, I know there was several things under annexation, but what has been passed down from council is for us to look at the annexation zoning districts. So don't forget, we need to look at those as well.
Right.
It's part of our approved comp plan, though. True?
Well, council has asked the commission to take a look at the annexation zoning districts, so the AX res and the AX mixed, and just to take a look at them. So I figured that could fall under the citywide annexation discussion, or if we want to add a specific item just for the review of that, because that is being referred back to council or to commission for review. We also have wetlands that have been sent back to the commission for additional review and discussion for wetlands buffer.
I think you're right. I think both should go on this list, just because if we're talking consultants, if we have this master list of things that we would ask a consultant, then we could get the most for our money, because it seems, we're not going to be getting a consultant every whip stitch. We're going to need to have a particular list of questions to submit. So we need to make sure that we have our act together. So I think we should put everything on the table on it, because we're not going to be assigned looking at the AX res and mixed in the next month, I don't think. So I think we should put that on the list.
Okay, doing it
Along with
now.
the wetlands buffer consultants. And to be honest, I'm not clear on that consultant, whether that's scientific or legal.
I think it was more scientific,
Okay.
but I think there were also some legal concerns as well. And
Okay.
Trina, if you want to let me know if you got either of those links that were sent in the chat, please let me know, because I sent it to you and to all panelists. So hopefully it's there.
I'm not trying to add more columns to it, but I
No,
just
go
wonder
for
if
it.
it isn't worthwhile to indicate the items that council has specifically sent to us.
Yeah, we can identify those. And right now, those two would be the wetland buffer review,
Yeah.
Which I'm adding under, I'm going to add that under the subdivision and land development code changes, because that's what it is at this point. It's been adopted, so it's an amendment to the zoning code. And then I've added the, under annexation, the review of the AX res and the AX mix. And I can note that was from council.
Great.
And there aren't any others that are hanging out there from earlier.
Not that I can think of, because we've taken care of the R4 and the lot averaging. And the floodplain fill was from council, and that is currently going through the process.
It looks like Trina isn't able, following the link, to get to it.
Yeah, let me just double check, make sure it's working.
Nancy, what else do you have on this issue?
Nothing else on that issue. One thing that I just wanted to mention, when I was looking at the items on signage, this morning there was a public presentation by the group Merge on an overall signage plan for the city. Now, at that meeting, I asked the question about signage for evacuation, and they aren't covering that in that plan. But there's certainly, in large part, I believe, because they're focusing on signage to direct people to where things are in the city and to direct them to parking. And the feeling was that signage around evacuation routes is established and set by the state. But I'm just wondering, because they will be putting this, let's say, if city council moves forward with this, they would be putting this out to bid. And it seems, I assume it would be more efficient to do all of signage in one fell swoop instead of, picking off different aspects of it at different points in time, especially if the city's potentially hiring someone to, erect new signs.
I think that's a very good point. And I think most of our evacuation signs have faded and gone away. Because I know there were two that were absolutely devoid of words and symbols anymore, and now they're gone. So you're smart to point out that we need to get those back ASAP so that people know what the evacuation
routes
routes
are. There
are.
were other aspects of signage that this was meant to cover.
Well, I know, and I've thought about this for the evacuation signs. I know in Florida, the evacuation signs are different colors, so that if you don't know where the next sign is, they're sort of red, green, yellow. So you're not heading toward an area that floods. If the signs are getting redder and redder, don't go that way, turn around and go another way. And I thought, that's a pretty smart idea for a community that's, full of visitors. And you might think that our roads out won't be flooded, but if Canary Creek's flooded, that's an evacuation route that's no longer an evacuation route. So
Right, and that's why New Road is not currently on the state evacuation route list. And
it isn't, but that's what people will do, because we've got 3
Right.
roads and people will take them all.
Yes,
So that
but-
should sort of get a red. Do you know what I mean? Like that should be like, don't go this way. You might have come into town that way. You might normally come in that way, but in an evacuation, it's a red.
So we actually have a map, I believe, let me triple check, that shows the evacuation routes on the city's online maps. Yep, we have a list of evacuation zones, so we've mapped those. Because what we don't want people to do is actually evacuation routes are actually designated by DELDOT. So the signage, if we're going to replace a sign, would typically come from them. And they have a specific code that they follow on how to use and what sign, like the colors, the font. They have a code that they follow to design and create all the signage. So I don't know if how much flexibility, because Florida might actually follow a different code. But
Sure.
So DELDOT, actually, we probably get the signs from them if we were going to replace them. Otherwise, DELDOT's going to replace the evacuation signs.
Right.
And they will not, because I know there have been a number of discussions about, hey, there used to be evacuation route signs on New Road, and now they're gone. And that's because it's not an official evacuation route at this point. So that's why some of those may have disappeared. And that would have been from DELDOT.
Yeah. Kings Highway too, they're gone, like Freeman Bridge, they're gone. They were gone from in there the last time I checked for them. So excellent. But you're right, we need to add that. I'm sorry, Joe, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, for Nancy, actually, we don't have to worry about, the Wayfarer signs are basically for tourists to invite them in, but we don't want them to leave, you know, so if Del Dot wants to put evacuation signs up, they will do that. They will put the posts and the signs. That's not part of the Wayfair system, okay? So it's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
And I believe there's a group working on wayfinding signage.
Mhm.
Well, it's
Yeah,
just.
that's what the meeting was this morning.
Yes.
Yeah, which I missed.
Yeah, and that's, as Joe is saying, that's from Route 1 into town, not from town out to Route 1.
Yeah.
Right, and we have unfortunately no control over anything outside of the city limits.
Well, then, let me ask a question. Why is this on this list of actions that need to be taken if we don't have control over and the owner is unknown? I guess for a lot of them, we have to confront if the owner is unknown, how do we identify it? Or
So I think some of this came from, because it actually says they want a master's design of signage for historic Lewis to Route 1. What we can actually control is historic Lewis to the edge of the city limits.
Mhm.
And I think this actually might also tie into the byway, because the byway is also looking at signage, because they have the byways include Kings Highway, Gills Neck, New Road, and they're trying to do some signage for that. So this might be where that came from. Again, if there's something here that you don't think you want to, we can take things off, we can add things. I just added it because all I did was, I didn't take anything out. I just combined things that were the same and just left everything else out for everybody to discuss and figure out what makes sense, what do we actually want to do, because there are over almost, there are well over 80 items on the list.
and I think this is a fairly minor one compared to some of the others on this list, so I don't want to belabor it. My only point is the city is about to look at this wayfinding master plan, and it covers bicyclists, it covers kind of all of the links for the ways in which someone might come into town. And so if there was something around the master design of signage for historic Lewis to Route 1 that we thought should be considered in all of that, now's probably the time to toss that over the transom to the group that's really looking at it.
So I'll add the wayfinding group as somebody who could be responsible for that.
I think it's a mayor and council subcommittee, or all of mayor and council, right? And staff, maybe?
It came out of the parking committee,
Yeah.
the city parking committee, not the beach parking committee. And, but the next step is, as I understand it, is with city council.
So yeah, they'll look into that. So now we've got a group looking into that. We can update that one. Is there anything else that is missing, needs clarification? Because again, I just took everything and put it into categories and added it to the list. And I know, Joe, you sent me a lot of stuff on changes to the subdivision code. I just put that all into one category, that you wanted to look at the subdivision changes. Because those are a lot of little things that we can look at.
One part of that is even the Board of Adjustment, when somebody wants to appeal, and the language in the code is just undoable.
Okay, we can add looking at Board of Adjustment.
Mhm.
So review BOA appeal language.
Appeal process.
Okay, added to the list.
Anyone else have anything to add? It's a pretty daunting list.
Are there things you guys want to take a look at and maybe start adding, like prioritizing in the categories to kind of get a an idea of where you're thinking to give that to the commission as an idea? Just like breaking down stormwater management. It's like, is that something you guys want
Right.
to tackle? Where is it falling on the list? I'm just putting ideas out there just for you guys to let me know, because we can add that.
I think it is a good idea for these not to be random under each header. How do you think it's best for a group of people who can only meet electronically to wrestle out, I don't know, all of them or top 3? Or what do you think is the most realistic way for us to come to a conclusion for these?
So I'm going to answer the question that we got. So not all of these items fall under the Planning Commission. So like review of the Board of Adjustment rules would end up, I think, starting with the Board of Adjustment, but since it's part of the zoning code, it would end up going to the commission, if I believe it's where it's located, and then to council for their final determination. Because like some of these, some of them, it's really, mayor and city council figuring out what they want to do. So that's why I put like who kind of would be responsible for some of these. And like one of them is adding curbs and sidewalks to existing streets. Well, that's an ongoing thing that city staff look at when we redo streets. So just an extra clarification for people thinking, why is this an planning commission issue? It's just, this was just everything that kind of got taken a look at.
Well, even like revising our sign ordinance, that was created, actually 3 of us created that on CARC, Commercial Architecture Review Commission. So I don't know whether that's now an HPARC jurisdiction, or I don't know whose that is now.
And again, that's why I took a chance at just kind of assigning who it might be. Like everything for sea level rise pretty much is falling under the classification of that's going to fall under the subcommittee, except for one of them is actually the state's responsibility. So I don't know how we prioritize something that really falls under the state, because the category, I want to say it's probably about midway for everybody keeping up with us online, says state sea level rise committee creating projections coastal inundation map. That responsibility is not the cities, that is the states. They do that every couple of years. So do we want to leave that on the list because we have no control over it? So I think it's just something we need to consider if we want to like winnow down the list. And then back to prioritization, I think unless we want to go line by line and everybody kind of give me a number of like, okay, based on, stormwater management, we've got 9 items and you go 1 through 9, or do you want to just kind of, go, okay, these are my top 3 and I can take that data and go, okay, based on the information, or if you categorize them, high, medium, low, or rank them 1 through 9 for the categories. And then I can kind of put that together and go, okay, these are the high, medium, and low categories in each subcategory. Because that's up to you guys and how you want to take a chance at identifying what has been submitted.
In terms of the items on the list where the responsibility does not include LPC, what's the intention of the discussion or an LPC role in setting a priority concerning those items?
My guess, it would be like a recommendation. It's like, we've heard this is of a concern, and we would like you to consider reviewing it.
Okay.
You can add, that's my best take on that, is, because some of this is actually going to require a lot of work between the city and DPW for the stormwater management items. So it's going to be determined by the city and how that relationship's working, and what's the priority for those organizations. I think right now is, I think what you're trying to do is like, okay, we've identified all of these items, and we think these are our more important items, even though we have control over these, but we would suggest others look at these if we so think. But if you don't even want to identify the ones that are coming from, that responsibility would fall to somebody else, then you can just rank the ones that would fall under the responsibility of the commission. And that's a way to go as well.
Janelle, I think we should include as many as possible, even if it's not under our jurisdiction, just to assure people that as we're thinking about these, we haven't forgotten these hot button items, but it's not our responsibility, and then we can list who is responsible for it. So it's not that we've forgotten them or left them out. We know about it, but it's the other guys who have to take care of it.
Right, because I mean, there's a lot of recommendations that come out of like the comprehensive plan. There was a lot of recommendations that were provided that came out of the comprehensive plan, don't fall under the planning commission. So, because the commission has no jurisdiction over tax incentives. So that would be something that it's like, okay, does the commission think that's something that should be worthwhile? We are at least looking at it, or we've ranked that lower on the list, and we know that that's something the council will have to look at. But then again, this list will actually be given to council, so they can see that, you know, there's a big list, you've prioritized what you want to focus on and think are the most important, and then they can focus on, okay, what's their most important, and hopefully some of those will overlap, so we're both doing the same thing together.
I think there's a real value, I mean, in not losing input and comments that have come in that need to be passed on to other groups that are responsible for those areas. But in terms of LPC, I would think we'd want to be focusing on what are the most pressing needs in terms of, I mean, you know, one cut of looking at this is to say, where can we have the greatest impact? Where do we need to try to start pushing the ball forward, even if it's going to be, even if the time frame is long, because if we don't get started now, you know, a year from now, we'll be having the same discussion. Yeah, I think maybe some of these, there might be almost kind of an urgency impact look at it that we might want to take, and focusing on the things that really are within the purview of the Planning Commission.
I think it's because some things will take a long time. We need to get them in motion, and then have, it's sort of like our 3 subcommittees. We're, you know, working in the background, and we have the regular monthly commitments and applications that come in, but we're all still working away at these issues. And I think this list is more of the same. If something's long and we need to have a consultant, we're going to need to get that on in the budget, which might be next year's budget or in 2 years' budget, and or a grant or something. And so we need to be working on that, and then maybe some of the more low-hanging fruit, work on that at the same time. So I agree. I think it's very important to not be afraid of the time frame, but concentrate on the issues urgency, and then we can, once we get the list approved by mayor and council, then we can start tackling the long and the short at the same time, I think.
Oh, I think you can be working on a short, medium, and long range project at the same time. It's just kind of prioritizing and making sure we're all on the same page as mayor and city council. Because I think what we've discussed before is we want to make sure that we're not going in a direction that they're not going. We want to make sure we're going in the same direction. So maybe if you guys just want to go through and rank the items that are going to fall under some purview of the commission, and recognize we've got a lot of other projects out there, but they just don't fall under the purview of the commission, that we look at those and rank those and send those for discussion to the commission, and then eventually to council, to make sure we're all on the same page.
Okay, so our homework for our next meeting is to rank each action item, high, medium, or low urgency. And we're only doing the ones where LPC is involved. Is that right?
That's up to you. If that's what I'm kind of hearing from Nancy, is let's focus on what you guys have purview on. Rank those, and then we'll have a list of what we can take to the commission of, hey, this is what is under our purview. Did I get that right, Nancy? Okay, perfect. Joe, any comments, questions?
What would be our deadline on this to get it back to you?
Do you guys want to meet again, or do you just want me to take it? If you want a week, I don't think, unless you think it'll take more than a week to get it back to me. Okay,
The end of this week.
all right. And then do you want to meet again just to kind of look at everything and see how, because I'm going to take all your priorities together and hopefully you're all on the same page. Otherwise, we're going to just, next time we're going to go like, okay, somebody thinks it's high, somebody thinks it's low. Well, it's going to fall in the medium then because somebody's high, somebody's low. I'm just going to put you in the median category. So do you guys want to meet again in like 2 weeks, or just to see kind of where this lays out, or how you guys are prioritizing? Because I want to make sure you guys are comfortable with what I'm going to do with your guys' input. Because again, if I've got something that I've got 3 people all over the place, we're going to have that discussion.
Okay, so we're saying we're going to rank planning commission responsibilities by high, medium, and low, and get that to you by close of business Friday, October 23rd.
If that works for you guys, that's perfect.
Okay.
And then I think we should probably meet one more time in November. That way, Janelle, you have time to wrestle this to the ground, because I think the chances of our agreeing are slim to none.
You never know.
You never know, but I would be surprised. I think because we all come at it from different ways. So you're probably gonna have 3 different things that are high or medium or low, you know what I mean? And that's okay.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about a Monday, the 16th? Because that's a couple weeks away, because I'm going to admit, I don't think 2 weeks is too fast.
Good for me.
Good for
16th
me.
is good.
Mhm.
I think so. So we'll meet, next meeting is Monday, November 16th
Yeah,
at 3:30
okay.
via Zoom. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody?
Appointments next month and you missed them all. So that's good.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I have 3 doctor's appointments next month and we missed them all. That's good.
Oh.
Picked a good date then.
Yes, very good.
Excellent. Excellent.
Okay, so I'll send
Okay.
out that reminder. Questions, comments, concerns?
We've got to check my mail.
No, this is great. Yeah, well, and I don't know whether, I sent Bob Heffernan an email a week ago, and I haven't heard from him.
He's listening.
Bob Heffernan, if you could call me, that would be great, or email me, that would be great. Because I'm just wondering if the emails are going through, or
Use
there's
the
stickers
personal
on
one. The city ones, I have not gotten the passwords yet for them. I'm still wrangling them from the IT person. So
That's
our new
why.
commission members can use the city ones that have been created for them, but I'm still
That's
working on
why.
getting them set up.
Okay, because I've been sending things only through the city, so that explains.
So yeah,
Excellent.
still
Okay,
they're set up. I just need to get the passwords so I can get them to help Nancy and Bob set them up.
perfect, perfect. Any other comments or questions?
No?
If not, then I guess we will Have a motion to adjourn. And we've got our assignment. Let me know if you need any help with anything. All in
And I'm here
favor
to
of
help.
adjourning? Excellent. Well, thank you so much, because I can only imagine what your desk looked like with this project. So thank you very much for all of your help with this.
You're welcome.
All right, and we'll see everybody via Zoom
Wednesday
tomorrow
night.
night. Well, tomorrow night is the mayor and council's public hearing regarding 5G. And then we have a monster meeting on Wednesday night. So have something to eat before the meeting, because it's gonna be a long one. So thank you, everyone.
All right.
Okay.
Take care.
Have a great day.
Bye now.